The big meeting room on the space station was full of noise, and Anger Ambassador Hyan Wu sat at the human table. His face looked tired and sad after 3 years of trying to make peace. His helper, So Young, sat next to him. She was looking at her computer screens. Her hands were shaking a little because she was nervous about the bad news from the fighting in faraway places. The scary-looking Vorthak aliens were hitting their sharp claws on the metal table, their machines that changed their words into human language were making crackling sounds. The Vorthak leader, Grax, was very angry. He wanted all humans to leave the space areas they were fighting about. The blue-skinned Nexari aliens were trying to help. Everyone talked nicely to each other. They always tried to make peace, but even they were getting tired after so many months of the same arguments over and over. Hyun-woo stood up slowly. His dark eyes looked around the room at all the strange creatures that used to be friends with humans. It was very sad because these same aliens had asked humans for help when the terrible Keth monsters tried to kill everyone in the galaxy 5 years ago. Now these aliens were more scared of human soldiers than they had been scared of dying. We came here because we wanted to make peace, Hyun-woo said. His voice was loud enough for everyone to hear without any machines. For 3 years we have listened to what you are worried about. We changed our rules. We moved our soldiers away from star systems that we saved with the blood of our people. So Young watched as many of the alien creatures moved around in their seats like they felt bad about something. The Trillion alien was huge with 6 arms and skin that looked like crystal. It talked through its word-changing machine. Your people grow too fast and take too much space. You build weapons that make all of us useless. This cannot keep happening. Yin-woo felt like something heavy was sitting on his shoulders behind him. Admiral Taemin stood very straight in his military uniform. The old soldier had scars on his face from battles, but his eyes still had the fire that had saved 3 whole star systems from being destroyed. He did not show any feelings on his face, but his eyes were angry. We saved your worlds, Hyun-woo said quietly, when the Keth ships made your skies dark. When your children had to hide in holes under the ground, who came to help you when you called? Now you sit here safe and free telling us that we are the problem. The room exploded with angry voices from 12 different types of aliens. The Vorthak chief stood up very tall. He was much bigger than any human. You saved us, yes, but now you are more dangerous to us than the Keth ever were. Your growing must stop. So Young leaned close to Hyun-woo and whispered something important in his ear. The newest spy reports showed that huge alien war fleets were moving close to human colonies. This was not just a talking meeting anymore. This was them telling humans what they had to do, or else. Hyun-woo looked around the room one more time. These creatures had been humanity's friends. They had worked together to build a peaceful galaxy. Now their eyes only showed fear and suspicion. The dream of all species working together was breaking apart right in front of him. He knew that no amount of talking could fix what had been broken. Very well, he said, his voice cut through all the noise. If our being at this table only brings fighting, then we will leave it starting right now. Humanity leaves the Galactic Peace Council. The room became completely quiet except for the humming sound of the station's air machines. Admiral Taemin stepped forward. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. And we take back our protection too. Every world that voted against us today should remember this moment when the next enemy comes to attack you. As the human group walked toward the door, So Young could hear the alien representatives starting to argue with each other. Some were calling for the humans to come back. Others demanded that humans be completely removed from all the disputed territories. The Nexari delegate was begging for them to think again, but it was too late. The huge doors of the meeting room closed behind them with a sound like thunder. In that moment, the fragile peace that had kept the galaxy safe for 5 years broke like glass. None of the aliens in that room understood what they had just made happen, but they would learn very soon. Outside in the hallway, Hyun-woo stopped walking and put his hand against the cold metal wall. So Young had never seen him look so sad. Admiral Taemin walked up to them, his military boots making sharp sounds on the floor. Sir, what are your orders? So Young asked. Taemin looked back at the closed doors. We gave them everything, he said. We bled for their freedom. We shared our technology. We opened our worlds to their people, and this is how they repay us. But, Sir, So Young started to say no. Admiral Taemin interrupted. They made their choice. They chose fear over friendship. They chose suspicion over trust. Now they will learn what the galaxy looks like without human protection. The three humans walked down the long hallway toward their ship. Behind them, they could still hear the muffled sounds of aliens arguing and shouting. The Galactic Peace Council was tearing itself apart without humans there to hold it together. In the docking bay, their ship, the USS Harmony, waited. The name seemed like a joke now. Harmony was the one thing that had just died in that meeting room. The crew members looked at their faces and knew without being told that something terrible had happened. Admiral Taman was the first to speak to the ship. Captain, prepare for departure. We are going home, but what about the peace talks? The captain asked. There are no more peace talks, Hyun Woo said sadly. There is no more peace. As their ship left the station, So Young watched through the window as other ships began leaving too. The Vorthok warships turned toward human space. The Trillion vessels activated their weapon systems. The Nexari ships that had always been peaceful were now surrounded by military escorts. The galaxy was choosing sides. And those sides were not friendly ones. The peace that had lasted 5 years was over, and everyone was about to learn that some things once broken could never be put back together the same way. The UES Harmony jumped to hyperspace carrying the last hope of peace away from the station. Behind them, the aliens continued to argue and plan and prepare for what they thought would be an easy war against humanity. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. In the darkness of space, other eyes were watching ancient enemies that had been waiting for exactly this moment. The breakdown of the Alliance was like music to creatures that fed on chaos and war. The Keth had been patient, but their patience was about to be rewarded. The galaxy was about to learn that when humans left the table, peace did not just end. War began, and this war would be unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. 3 months after the humans left the peace table, the galaxy started to shake with the first signs of big changes. On the desert world called Kalar Prime, the Vorthok mining workers came under attack by unknown raiders. The attack was fast and brutal, leaving no one alive and no clues except for strange energy readings that did not match any known weapon technology. Captain Jae-sung was flying his ship, the UES Defiant, near the neutral zone between human and Vorthok space when he got the emergency call. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Minho, looked confused at the computer readings. Sir, the attack pattern is very strange. These are not random space pirates. Jae-sung studied the data flowing across his command screen. The raiders had attacked specific mining equipment and left everything else alone. It was like surgery, very professional and completely different from the messy raids that had been happening in the outer areas for many years. Set course for the nearest human colony, Jae-sung ordered, and send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we have a new player in this game. Meanwhile, on the diplomatic world of Centauri Station, former ambassador Hyun-woo met with his old friend Dr. Bora. She was a very smart scientist who had spent years studying alien cultures. She poured tea from an earth pot. The familiar ritual was a small comfort in these uncertain times. The aliens are scared, Biora said, sitting down in her chair. My contacts in the Nexari embassy tell me they are forming a group. They call it the Stability Pact. Hyun-woo drank his tea slowly. How many species? 7 so far, but more are joining every day. The Vorthok are pushing very hard for military action against human colonies. The news did not surprise Hyun-woo, but it still hurt. He had really believed that peace was possible, that different species could live together without fear. Now that dream was in ruins and darker forces were taking advantage of the chaos back on Earth. Admiral Taman stood in the war room of Human Fleet Command. He was studying holographic displays showing ship movements across known space. His aide, Commander Seijin, highlighted suspicious activities in previously neutral areas. Admiral, we are seeing coordinated fleet movements from multiple species. The Trillion Third Fleet has moved to our border, and the Vorthok are gathering ships near the Kepler Colonia. Min's scarred face stayed calm, but his mind was already calculating response strategies. What about the raids on alien shipping increasing in frequency and sophistication? Someone is deliberately targeting their supply lines and communication networks. The Admiral turned to face the massive display showing human space. Red dots marked their colonies. Blue showed Allied territories and yellow indicated neutral zones, but the colors were changing rapidly as old alliances crumbled. They think we are behind the raids, Taemin said quietly. They are using it as justification for their military buildup. Commander Seijin nodded grimly. Intelligence suggests the Stability Pact is planning coordinated strikes against our outer colonies. They want to force us back to the Sol system. Temen's eyes became hard during the Keth Wars. He had learned that sometimes peace could only be maintained through strength. The aliens had forgotten that lesson, but he had not begun. Quiet mobilization of the reserve fleets, he ordered, and activate the deep space monitoring stations. If they want to test human resolve, they will get a lesson they will not forget. As the weeks passed, the situation got worse very quickly. Alien media broadcasts painted humans as aggressive expansionists who threatened galactic stability. Human colonies reported increased harassment from alien patrol ships. Trade agreements were cancelled and diplomatic channels went silent. On the remote research station Alpha Centauri, Dr. Bio Ra worked frantically to maintain contact with her alien colleagues. Many had been ordered to stop all communication with human scientists, ending collaborations that had produced breakthrough discoveries in medicine, physics, and engineering. They are making a terrible mistake, she told her research team during their morning briefing. Fear is driving them to destroy everything we have built together. Her assistant, Dr. Kyung-soo, pulled up the latest intelligence reports. It is worse than fear. Doctor, someone is actively manipulating the situation. These raids on alien facilities are too coordinated to be random. The truth was becoming clear to those who looked carefully. A third party was playing both sides, using the breakdown in human-alien relations to pursue their own agenda, but by the time anyone realized what was happening, the galaxy was already sliding toward war. Captain Jae-sung received another distress call, this time from a Nexari science vessel that had been attacked near the Rigel system. When his ship arrived at the coordinates, all they found was debris and the same strange energy signatures. Lieutenant Min-ho ran every scan he could think of. Sir, these weapon patterns are completely unknown. They are not in any of our databases, but there is something familiar about the quantum resonance. What do you mean familiar? Jae-sung asked. I cannot put my finger on it, sir, but I've seen something like this before, maybe during my academy training when we studied historical battles. The pieces of the puzzle were scattered across the galaxy, but no one had put them together, yet the mysterious raids continued. Human colonies prepared for alien attacks. Alien worlds fortified against human aggression. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, ancient enemies watched and waited. Dr. Biora made one more attempt to reach her Nexari colleague, Dr. Veltar. Through secret channels, the response she received chilled her to the bone. Ra, my friend, I fear we are all being manipulated. There are forces at work here that neither of our species understands. The raids, the fear, the hatred, it all serves someone else's purpose. Before she could ask what he meant, the transmission cut off. That was the last communication between human and alien scientists for many months. The galaxy was dividing into armed camps, and no one seemed able to stop it. Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical displays update in real time. Human fleets were moving to defensive positions. Alien armadas were gathering strength, and somewhere out there in the void, something else was moving to something that the sensors could not quite detect. Sir, we have a problem, Commander. Seijin approached with a worried expression. Our deep space monitors are picking up energy signatures in the dead zones, areas where no one should be operating. Show me, Taemin ordered. The display shifted to show the empty regions between star systems. Faint contacts appeared and disappeared like ghosts moving through the darkness. The signatures were too weak to get a clear reading, but they were definitely there. How long have they been active? Seijin asked. Unknown, sir, but based on the patterns they have been watching us for months. Maybe years. Taemin felt a chill run down his spine. The galaxy was preparing for war between humans and aliens, but what if that war was exactly what someone else wanted? What if they were all dancing to the tune of a hidden puppeteer? Send coded messages to all our deep space assets, he ordered. I want to know what is out there, and Commander, yes, sir. Double the watch on all our monitoring stations. If someone has been spying on us, they might try to silence our observers. As the orders went out across human space, the galaxy continued its slide toward chaos. The aliens saw human military preparations as proof of aggressive intentions. Humans saw alien fleet movements as confirmation of hostile plans. Neither side realized they were being manipulated by forces that wanted nothing more than to see them destroy each other in The depths of space, something ancient stirred the Keth. Had been patient, had learned, had evolved now. The time for hiding was almost over. The galaxy that had once united against them was tearing itself apart, and soon, very soon, the real war would begin. The first real clue came from a place no one expected. Captain Jae-sung was flying his ship, the UES Defiant, to investigate the wreckage of a Nexari transport that had been attacked near the Vega system. Among all the floating pieces of metal and the plastic, his science officer, Lieutenant, one discovered something that made her blood turn cold. Captain, you need to see this, she called from her station. The weapon signatures from this attack matched the energy patterns from the Keth invasion. Jae-sung felt ice in his veins. The Keth were supposed to be extinct, their entire civilization wiped out during the final battles of the war. But the evidence was right there on the screen, impossible to deny. The same exotic energy weapons that had once terrorized the galaxy were being used again. Are you certain? He asked, studying the data. Positive, sir. The quantum resonance patterns are identical. But there is something else. Lieutenant Haewon highlighted another section of her analysis. The attack was deliberately made to look like human weapons technology. Someone went to great lengths to frame us. Meanwhile, on the hidden world of Shadow's Edge, a place that existed in no official star charts, a meeting was taking place in the depths of an ancient underground facility. The chamber was filled with figures in dark robes, their faces hidden behind masks that seemed to shift and change in the dim light. At the head of the council sat a being that had once been Keth, but was now something far worse. The experiments performed on him during his species' final days had left him changed, enhanced, and filled with a burning hatred for all organic life. The plan proceeds perfectly, he spoke in a voice like grinding metal. The humans and their former allies tear each other apart while we grow stronger. His lieutenant, a creature that was hard to describe, nodded. The raider attacks continue to escalate tensions. Both sides prepare for war. Excellent. Soon they will be too weakened to resist our return. The galaxy will burn, and from its ashes we will build something pure and perfect. This was the true threat that neither humans nor aliens had recognized. The survivors of the Keth invasion had not fled to die in the void they had hidden, planned, and evolved. Now they were ready to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs back. On Earth, Admiral Taemin received an urgent message from Captain Jae-sung's ship. The evidence of Keth involvement changed everything. He immediately called an emergency meeting with the human leadership. If the Keth are back, we need to warn the alien species immediately, argued Director Ji-woo from the diplomatic corps. This changes everything, does it? Admiral Taemin asked grimly. Will they believe US, or will they think it is another human trick? The question hung in the air like a heavy weight. The breakdown in trust had been so complete that even the truth might not be enough to rebuild the alliances that had once kept the galaxy safe. Dr. Biora, attending the meeting through hologram from her research station, spoke up. I have contacts in the Nexari scientific community. They might listen to evidence if it comes from someone they trust. Do it, Tenman ordered, but move carefully. If the Keth realize we are onto them, they might speed up their timeline. As the meeting continued, none of them noticed the small probe that had been watching from the shadows of space. The Keth had infiltrated more than just the outer rim. They had been gathering intelligence on human activities for months, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The probe sent its data to the hidden world, where the Keth leader reviewed the recordings with interest. The humans were beginning to understand the truth, but it was too late. The final phase of the plan was already in motion across the galaxy. Sleeper agents activated. Ancient Keth technology hidden in the ruins of dead worlds began to power up, and in the depths of space, massive ships that had been waiting in the void for years started their engines and began moving toward populated systems. Captain Jae-sung was not the only one who had discovered the truth. Lieutenant Commander Dong Hyan of the UES Vigilant was investigating similar attacks when he made a connection that sent chills down his spine. Sir, I have been comparing the attack patterns from the last 6 months, said his tactical officer, Lieutenant Young-soo. The progression shows increasing sophistication, as if someone was testing our defenses or learning from each encounter. Dong Hyan realized. Show me the timeline. The data revealed a terrifying pattern. Each attack had been slightly more advanced than the last. The raiders were not just striking randomly, they were conducting systematic intelligence gathering, learning the capabilities and weaknesses of both human and alien forces. Sir, There is something else, Young Su continued. The energy signatures show traces of technology from multiple species Vorthak. Hull materials, Nexari, shield generators, Trillin quantum processors. Someone has been collecting our technology, Donghain whispered for years. They have been taking pieces from every species in the galaxy on the hidden world, the Keth leader studied. Reports from his agents scattered across civilized space. The galaxy was almost ready, everything was proceeding according to plan. The humans and aliens would soon be at each other's throats, weakened and vulnerable. Activate Phase 3, he commanded. Send the signal to all sleeper cells. It is time to accelerate the timeline across known space. Keth agents who had been posing as traitors, mercenaries, and even refugees for years suddenly came alive. They sabotaged communication networks, destroyed supply depots, and eliminated key personnel. The galaxy began to experience system failures on a massive scale. Admiral Taman watched the reports flood in from across human space. Power grids failing, navigation beacons going offline, trade routes disrupted. It was too coordinated to be coincidence. They are not just back, he said to his staff. They have been here all along, watching us, learning from us, preparing for this moment. Commander Seijin brought up a galaxy-wide display showing the incidents. Red dots appeared like a spreading infection, marking each point of sabotage. And sir, there are similar reports coming from alien territories. The Vorthak homeworld just lost its primary orbital defense platform. The truth was becoming undeniable. The Keth had never really been defeated. They had simply gone underground, using the time to study their enemies and prepare for their return. Now they were ready to reclaim the galaxy, and they had turned its defenders against each other. Dr. finally managed to establish contact with Dr. Veltar through a heavily encrypted channel. The Nexari scientist was frightened, but determined to share what he had learned. Bora, we have discovered something terrible. The attacks on our shipping, the raids on your colonies, they are all connected, and the technology being used, it incorporates elements from every major species in the galaxy. I know, she replied, we have found the same evidence here, but how do we convince our governments when they are so focused on fighting each other? Before he could answer, the transmission was cut off. Dr. Veltar was gone, and Biora feared she would never hear from him again. The Keth were moving to silence anyone who came too close to the truth on his flagship. Admiral Taman made a decision that would either save the galaxy or doom it. He opened a channel on all frequencies, broadcasting to every ship, human and alien, in the sector. This is Admiral Taman of the Human Fleet Command, he began. I am transmitting evidence of a threat that endangers all of us. The Keth have returned. They have been manipulating our conflicts, preparing for their own return to power. We must work together, or we will all fall separately. The response was immediate and hostile. Alien commanders accused him of lies and deception. Human officers questioned his sanity, but a few listened. A few looked at the evidence and realized that their real enemy had been hiding in the shadows. All along the galaxy stood on the edge of a precipice. Below lay the abyss of total war and destruction. The Keth had planned well, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated the power of truth and the possibility that even bitter enemies could recognize a greater threat. In the depths of space, ancient ships began to move toward the light, preparing to reclaim a galaxy they believed belonged to them. The final phase of their plan was about to begin. Dr. Biora tried to contact her Nexari colleagues one more time and got unexpected success. Dr. Veltar, a respected scientist who had worked with human scientists for over 10 years, agreed to meet secretly on the neutral research station Galileo 7. The meeting took place in a shielded laboratory away from spying sensors and listening devices. Dr. Veltar's blue skin seemed darker than usual, and his normally musical voice carried sounds of worry. The evidence you have shared is very disturbing. He admitted studying the quantum signatures that Lieutenant Haywan had discovered, but my government will not listen to warnings from humans. The trust is broken. Bo-Ra leaned forward urgently. Then we need to find proof they cannot ignore. If the Keth are really back, every species in the galaxy is in danger. What they discovered next changed everything. Working together using combined human and Nexari technology, they detected traces of Keth energy signatures at the sites of attacks across dozens of star systems. The pattern was clear to anyone willing to look. They are not just back, Dr. Veltar whispered in horror. They are everywhere. The revelation came too late even as the two scientists worked to compile their evidence. The Keth were launching the next phase of their plan on the industrial world of Forge Prime, home to the largest Vorthek military shipyard. Something terrible was about to happen, Commander. Dong Hyan of the UES Vigilant was conducting routine patrols near the system when his sensors detected massive energy buildups. All stations report, he ordered. Sir, I am reading multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Young Su, reported the signatures they are not like anything in our databases. The ships that appeared were nightmarish combinations of organic curves and mechanical angles. They moved with purpose and coordination that spoke of advanced intelligence, but their design was alien in ways that made even veteran spacers feel sick. They are heading for Forge Prime, Young Su reported. Should we warn the Vorthak? Commander Dong Hyan faced an impossible decision. The Vorthak had been preparing for war against humanity. Warning them would reveal human ship positions and potentially compromise military secrets, but allowing an unknown enemy to attack would make humans responsible for genocide. Open a channel to the Vorthak defense fleet, he ordered. This is Commander Dong Hyan of the UES Vigilant. Unknown hostile forces are approaching your system. We are transmitting sensor data now. The response was immediate and hostile. Human ship, you are in violation of our territorial space. Withdraw immediately or face consequences. Listen to me, Dong Hyan shouted into the com. Those ships are not human. They are something else, something dangerous. Your people are in immediate danger. But the Vorthak commander had already cut the channel. Moments later, the alien fleet opened fire with weapons that tore through space itself. The Vorthak defense fleet, caught completely off guard, was overwhelmed in minutes. Commander Dong Hyan watched in horror as the mysterious ships began bombing Forge Prime. Billions of lives were being destroyed before his eyes, and there was nothing his single ship could do to stop it. Get us out of here, he ordered quietly, and transmit everything to Fleet Command. They need to know what we are facing. The attack on Forge Prime was just the beginning. Within hours, similar assaults were launched against major population centers across the galaxy. The Trillion homeworld, the Nexari capital, even neutral trading stations were targeted with ruthless efficiency. Admiral Taemin stood in the Fleet Command Center watching the reports flood. In the holographic display showed red warning lights appearing across the galaxy. Like a spreading plague, sir, we are receiving distress calls from over 30 star systems, reported Commander Seijin. The attacking ships are using technology we have never seen before. Notainlin said grimly, we have seen it before. These are the same energy signatures from the Keth invasion, but enhanced, improved. The truth was finally undeniable. The Keth had returned, and they had spent their years in hiding, preparing for this moment. The galaxy that had once united against them was now divided and vulnerable. Are your orders, Admiral Seijin? Asked Taemin looked at the tactical display showing human fleet positions. His forces were scattered across dozens of systems, many of them facing off against alien fleets that had been preparing for war against humanity. Now they all faced a common enemy that threatened to destroy everything they had built. Send a message to every human ship in the galaxy, he ordered, and broadcast it on all frequencies so the alien fleets can hear it too. Tell them that the real enemy has revealed itself and that humanity offers our assistance in facing this threat. It was a gamble that could save the galaxy or doom it, but as the Keth continued their devastating attacks, Taemin knew that old grudges and political differences meant nothing in the face of extinction. The first response came from an unexpected source. Captain Yuan Wu of the exploration vessel UES Discovery was trapped in the Andorian system when Keth ships attacked the orbital platforms. Admiral, this is Captain Yuan Wu, he transmitted. I am witnessing the complete destruction of the Andorian defense grid. These ships, they are using weapons that consume matter itself. Nothing we have can stop them. You attempted to contact the local alien forces? Taemin asked. Yes, sir. The Trillion fleet commander initially ordered us to leave, but when the Keth opened fire, he asked for our help. Admiral, these beings are fighting for their lives. They need us. Then help them, Taemin ordered immediately. Use everything we have learned about Keth tactics and share it with the Trillion commander across a galaxy. Similar scenes were playing out. Human captains found themselves working alongside alien crews they had been preparing to fight just days before. The common threat was forcing old enemies to become desperate. Elizdar Biora and Dr. Veltar worked frantically aboard their research station as Keth ships approached the facility. They had discovered something crucial about the enemy technology. But time was running out, Bora. We must transmit our findings before they destroy us, Veltar said as explosions rocked the station. She nodded and activated the emergency broadcast system. This is Dr. Biora of the Galileo 7 research station to all ships in the area. The Keth are using hybrid technology that combines elements from every known species. They have been studying us for years, learning our weaknesses. The transmission was cut short as Keth energy beams sliced through the station. But the message had been sent, and it was being received by human and alien ships across the sector. Captain Jae-sung aboard the UES Defiant was one of the first to receive the transmission. He was leading a mixed formation of human and Nexari ships in a desperate defense of the research facility. All ships, this is Captain Jae-sung, he broadcast. If Dr. Bora is right, then these ships know our standard tactics. We need to do something unexpected, something they have not seen before. The battle that followed became a template for the new kind of warfare the galaxy would need to fight. The Keth ships adapted quickly to conventional tactics, but they struggled against creative improvisations and cooperative strategies. They had not anticipated. Admiral Taman watched the battle reports with growing hope. The enemy was powerful but not invincible when human innovation combined with alien technology and tactics. The results were formidable, but the cost was terrible. Entire worlds were burning. Species that had existed for millions of years were being wiped out in hours. The Keth were not just conquering, they were exterminating. A message came through from the Vorthak homeworld. War Chief Grax himself was on the channel. Admiral Taman, the Vorthak leader, spoke in his growling voice. We have been fools. We let fear blind us to the real threat. We ask for your help. Taman felt no satisfaction in being proven right, only sadness for all the lives that could have been saved. We are already on our way, War Chief. Together we will stop them. The galaxy was burning, but from the flames a new alliance was being forged, not built on treaties and trade agreements, but on the shared understanding that survival required unity. The Keth had returned stronger than ever, but they would face an enemy they had never encountered before, a united galaxy that had learned to set aside its differences in the face of annihilation. The response to Admiral Taman's broadcast was mixed and chaotic. Some alien commanders watching their worlds burn under Keth assault immediately accepted human assistance. Others, still convinced that the attacks were an elaborate human trick, continued to treat human ships as enemies. Captain Jae-sung found himself in the middle of this confusion when his ship, the UES Defiant, arrived at the embattled Nexari system of Harmony's End. The planet's orbital defenses were failing against three massive Keth vessels that seemed to absorb energy weapons and heal themselves from physical damage. Captain, we are receiving transmissions from the Nexari fleet, reported Lieutenant Minho. They are asking for our help. The irony was not lost on Jae-sung. 3 months ago, these same Nexari had voted to kick humanity out of the Peace Council. Now they were begging for human intervention signal. The Nexari commander, he ordered, tell them we are here to help, but we need to work together on our attacks. What followed was the first joint human-alien military operation since the peace talks collapsed. The Nexari ships, with their advanced shield technology, created protective barriers while human vessels used their superior firepower to punch through Keth defenses. The combination was devastatingly effective. Their hulls are healing, observed Lieutenant Haewon. But our quantum torpedoes are disrupting the process. If we can maintain sustained fire, the battle turned into a grueling test of endurance. The Keth ships fought with mechanical precision, adapting to each new tactic within minutes. But the combined human Nexari fleet had something the Keth had not anticipated: the ability to improvise and think creatively under pressure. Nexari fleet, this is Captain Jae-sung, he transmitted. Concentrate your shield projectors on our lead ship. We are going to ram the center vessel. The Nexari commander's response was immediate. Captain, that is suicide. Your ship will be destroyed, not if your shields hold. Jae-sung replied grimly, and not if we time this right. Trust me. The UES Defiant, wrapped in a cocoon of Nexari energy shields, accelerated toward the largest Keth vessel at the last moment. Jae-sung ordered all power to the forward torpedo tubes. The ship slammed into the enemy vessel just as dozens of quantum torpedoes exploded simultaneously. The explosion lit up the system like a newborn star. When the energy faded, the Keth ship was gone and the UES Defiant was heavily damaged but intact. Impossible, whispered the Nexari commander. No ship should have survived that impact. Human engineering, Jae-sung replied with a tired smile. We build things to last. The victory at Harmony's End became a turning point. News of the successful human-Nexari cooperation spread across the galaxy, carried by survivors and refugee ships. Other species began to reconsider their positions on the Vorthak homeworld. War Chief Grax studied reports from the battle while his world's defenses prepared for an inevitable Keth attack. His aide, a young warrior named Crix, presented him with a sealed communication from Admiral Taeminth. Human admiral offers military assistance. Crix reported, he says their fleets are already moving to support our outer colonius. Grax clawed hands clenched into fists. The Vorthak had been preparing for war against humanity for months. Now he was being asked to fight alongside them against an enemy that had already demonstrated its ability to destroy entire worlds. What is your decision? War Chief Crix asked. Grax looked out at the stars where Keth ships were already gathering for their assault. Pride was a luxury his people could no longer afford. Accept the human offer, he growled, and may the ancestors forgive us for our blindness. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Dr. Bo Ra and Dr. Veltar worked frantically aboard the research station Galileo 7. Their analysis of captured Keth technology had revealed something terrifying about the enemy's capabilities. They are not just using improved versions of their old weapons, Bo Ra explained to Admiral Taemin through secure transmission. They have incorporated technology from every species they have encountered. Vorthak armor plating, Nexari shields, Trillion quantum processors. They have been studying us. Taemin realized every battle, every encounter during the war they were learning, adapting it. Is worse than that, Dr. Veltar added. They have been infiltrating our societies for years, stealing technology, gathering intelligence. They know our weaknesses better than we do. The revelation sent chills through the growing alliance. The Keth were not just back with improved weapons. They had spent their exile preparing for this moment, studying their enemies and planning the perfect strategy for galactic conquest, but they had made one crucial miscalculation. In their arrogance, they had assumed that the galaxy would remain divided, that old grudges would prevent effective cooperation. They had not anticipated that their very presence would force former enemies to become allies. Captain Min A of the UES Pathfinder found herself commanding a mixed squadron of human, Vorthak, and Trillion ships as they defended the mining world of Kepler 7. The cooperation was awkward at first, with each species using different tactics and communication protocols. Human ship, this is Vorthak Commander Carr. The alien warrior transmitted, your fighters are too aggressive, pull them back with respect. Commander Min A replied, those fighters are drawing Keth fire away from your damaged vessels. If we pull back now, your ship will be destroyed. The argument was interrupted by a massive Keth dreadnought emerging from hyperspace. Its weapons began charging for a devastating attack that would wipe out the entire defensive fleet. All ships, emergency maneuver, Delta 7. Min A broadcast. It was a desperate gambit that required perfect timing from three different species. The human fighters drew the Keth ship's attention while Vorthak heavy cruisers formed a defensive wall. The Trillion vessels used their quantum processors to calculate the exact moment to strike. The coordinated attack punched through the dreadnought's defenses and sent it spinning into the system's Star. Commander Carr transmitted again, human captain, I owe you an apology and a debt. The debt is to the galaxy. Commander Min A replied, we are all in this together now. As human ships took positions alongside Vorthak battlecruisers and Nexari science vessels, the galaxy prepared for the greatest battle in its history. The Keth had returned stronger than ever, but they would face an enemy they had never encountered before, a united galaxy that had learned to set aside its differences in the face of extinction. Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the massive fleet assembling at the edge of known space. Ships from 12 different species formed the largest armada in recorded history, their weapons trained on the darkness where the main Keth force was gathering. Lieutenant Commander So Young, now promoted to his senior aide, approached with the latest intelligence reports. Admiral, the Keth mothership is massive beyond anything we faced in the previous war, our estimates suggested. Could destroy an entire star system, then we make sure it does not get the chance, Taemin replied. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Taemin. Today we fight not as separate species, but as one galaxy. Today we prove that unity is stronger than any weapon. War Chief Grax, commanding the Vorthak battle fleet, felt something he had not experienced in years. Respect for a human. The Admiral's words carried the weight of truth, and the Vorthak warrior knew that survival depended on cooperation. Vorthak fleet acknowledges. Grax transmitted, "We fight as one." Similar acknowledgments came from ships across the Armada. Nexari vessels, Trillion quantum ships, even the proud and isolated Zenari had sent their fastest cruisers. The galaxy had not been this united since the First Keth War, and this time they were ready. In the darkness between the stars, something ancient and terrible began to move. The Keth mothership was a nightmare of biological and mechanical fusion, stretching across space like a metallic cancer. Smaller ships swarmed around it like deadly insects, each one bristling with weapons that could level cities. The final battle was about to begin. The final battle began not with grand declarations or dramatic speeches, but with a simple transmission from Admiral Taemin to the combined fleet gathering at the edge of the galaxy. Ships from 12 different species formed the largest armada in recorded history, their weapons trained on the massive Keth mothership emerging from the void. All ships, this is Admiral Taemin aboard the UES. Indomitable, his voice carried across the com channels. Today we fight not as separate species, but as one galaxy. Today we prove that unity is stronger than any weapon. War Chief Grax, commanding the Vorthak battle fleet, felt something he had not experienced in years. Respect for a human. The Admiral's words carried the weight of truth, and the Vorthak warrior knew that survival depended on cooperation. Vorthak fleet acknowledges. Grax transmitted, "We fight as one." The Keth mothership was a nightmare of biological and mechanical fusion, stretching across space like a metallic cancer. Smaller ships swarmed around it like deadly insects, each one bristling with weapons that could level cities. As the combined fleet approached, the Keth began their assault. Captain Jae-sung, now commanding a mixed squadron of human and Nexari vessels, found himself at the center of the first wave. The Keth had learned from their previous encounters, adapting their tactics to counter the cooperative strategies that had worked before. They are focusing fire on our communication arrays, reported Lieutenant Minho. They are trying to break our coordination. Then we adapt too, Jae-sung replied. Switch to backup frequencies and relay through the Nexari ships. Their communications are quantum encrypted. Battle raged across multiple dimensions as both sides employed exotic weapons that bent space and time. Human ships used their superior maneuverability to strike at weak points, while Vorthak vessels formed defensive walls that absorbed the worst of the Keth assault. Nexari science ships provided mobile shield generators that protected damaged vessels, and Trillion quantum processors coordinated targeting data across the entire fleet. Biora, monitoring the battle from her research station, made a crucial discovery. "Admiral, I am detecting a pattern in the Keth weapon signatures. They are all connected to the mothership through some kind of quantum link." "What does that mean?" Taemin asked, even as his ship shuddered under enemy fire. "If we can sever that link, their smaller ships will lose coordination. They will become vulnerable." The plan that emerged was desperate and dangerous. A small strike force would have to penetrate the Keth mothership's defenses and destroy the quantum communication core. It would be a suicide mission, but it was their only chance. "I will lead the strike force," Jae-sung volunteered immediately. "No," said Commander Dong Hyan, whose ship had witnessed the destruction of Forge Prime. "This is my responsibility. Let me make amends for the worlds." I could not save the debate was settled when Dr. Veltar's voice joined the transmission. "This requires precise knowledge of Keth technology. I'm coming with you, as am I," added War Chief Grax. "Vorthak honor demands it." The strike force that penetrated the Keth mothership was a perfect symbol of the new alliance. Human pilots flew alongside Vorthak warriors, while Nexari scientists provided real-time analysis of the enemy's defenses. They fought through corridors that seemed to pulse with evil life, facing defenders that were no longer entirely organic. Commander Dong Hyan led the assault team through the twisting passages of the mothership, Lieutenant Kyung Min, his tactical officer, stayed close behind while War Chief Grax and his warriors cleared the path ahead. Dr. Veltar used his scientific equipment to guide them toward the quantum core. The ship is alive, Veltar observed with horror. It has merged organic and mechanical systems in ways that should be impossible. It is an abomination, Grax growled as his energy blade cut through a Keth defender. The ancestors would weep to see such corruption of life. At the heart of the mothership they found the quantum communication core. It was a massive crystalline structure that throbbed with dark energy connected to thousands of